Great. Oh, there's Naz. Well, welcome, Richard, and welcome other folks that will be watching this recording in a little bit. My name is Garret Westlake. I'm the Executive Director of the Vinci Center for Innovation here at VCU. I'm also the Associate Vice Provost for Innovation for the university and a Professor of Product Innovation. Lots of innovation at Da Vinci. So really excited to do another one of these info sessions for the Masters of Product Innovation program, which is really the crown jewel of what we do at the Da Vinci Center. It's my favorite thing that we do and one of my favorite things at the university. We are joined here today. This is a special one. So we've got some current and former students from the Da Vinci Center's Masters of Product Innovation program. I firmly believe that our students are our best ambassadors. And so we really believe in user experience, and that comes first and foremost from our users. So you might as well hear it directly from them. So I'm going to kick us off with some, sort of Q&A with our guests, and then I'm going to turn it over to Mary Chris and Allison, who are going to walk folks through the academic ins and outs of the program and sort of how people apply, navigate, all the good details related to the program. So I get the fun stuff. I get the kickoff. So, without further ado, we'll go around and if each of you could just sort of, introduce yourself, talk a little bit about what you were doing before coming to the MPI program, and what you're doing either in the final semester or now that you have graduated from the program, if you're a rock star like Naz. So, Tyson, why don't you go ahead and kick us off?
Yeah. Good afternoon, everyone. So excited to be here. I've really gotten the most out of the MPI experience from just saying yes to opportunities. Before I was coming in, feels like 2 years, but it's been a little bit less. I was actually working in higher education in admissions. So I worked at Elon University and had been there for a few years, really was looking for that career transition into more of the front end of innovation. And through this experience, now I'm set to start in January with Dominion Energy's front end innovation team. So yeah, talk about like what I was hoping to get out of it and directly into that next role, but really have just had an amazing experience so far. But I'll be starting with Dominion January 2nd. So couldn't wait to get started January 2nd of this coming year after we graduate in December.
And to be fair, you're kind of already there.
Yes, that's also true. Yes.
So Tyson's currently an intern as he finishes up the program with Dominion. So
yes.
All right, Julian, why don't you go next?
Yeah. Hi, everyone. I'm Julian. So I came into the MPI program straight out of undergrad. I first heard of the MPI program through the Da Vinci Center's Pre-X Accelerator program. So I went into the program with my own idea, and I currently run a business called Jackfruit Jerky. So we make a vegan plant-based jerky from jackfruit. We have 3 flavors. And yeah, I brought that idea into the MPI program, developed it for about a year, ended up launching a successful Kickstarter campaign. And now we're rocking and rolling. We're getting the rewards out, starting to explore stores down here in Richmond and sell directly to the consumer. So I would say that was my dream coming into this program, and that's what I worked on along the way, aside from other cool projects.
Awesome. And we'll get to some of those a little bit later. And last, but certainly not least, Naz.
Hi, everyone. It's so good to see you all. So I'm Naz, for the ones that don't know me. So before MPI, I did architecture. I studied my undergrad in architecture, and when I came to the States, I just didn't really know what I wanted to do. I just knew that I liked the like that part of architectural design that was like human-centered. But at the time I didn't even know that it was called like human-centered design. And then I got into VCU for Master of Interior Design, and then very early, like literally the day before I was starting my master's degree, I found out about MPI and I fell in love and I transferred. And I had the best time of my life with all of you. After that, I got an internship with CoStar in Richmond. And that led me to a UX design associate position with their DC office. And here I am.
Here you are.
Yeah.
Well, cool. So Richard, you get to benefit from being here. Oh, you just went off, but like I have questions for these three, but I know them really well. So if there are any questions you want to ask, like I'll open the floor to you, Richard, if you wanted to ask.
Sure. Thanks so much, you guys too. And sorry, my camera is like, I'm having some issues with it, so I might actually just stay on this lovely headshot of me here instead of the actual video. So I apologize about that. But I know I connected with Allison briefly, through a past colleague, Mary Reynolds, who I know went through your program. I had the pleasure of actually working with Mary at VCU's interior design program. So I actually went through a master's level program at VCU in interior design, but I'm really interested in sort of the cross section between sort of user experience and architecture, particularly interior environments. I'm working right now as an interior designer and also actually an educator. I'm teaching at a local architecture college here in Cleveland, Ohio, where I'm originally from. So I made the move from Virginia back to the Midwest. And so I'm kind of in this like exploratory stage of, connecting with people sort of more broadly, less specific to the program. But I feel like there's a really interesting sort of potential of considering the sort of scale of user experience. And so while I'm interested in potentially reskilling and sort of thinking about, my own next steps, I'm really here kind of like almost as like a fly on the wall, to sort of see what other sort of design industries are doing. And, again, just like looking at ways of potentially collaborating. There's a potential for me to actually teach in the interiors program remotely at VCU in the next semester. So I think there could also be some really interesting crossovers. So I know I might not be the typical sort of candidate that you're maybe getting in on one of these info sessions, but I feel like as long as you're willing to entertain my ideas, I'm willing to talk. So that's where I'm kind of coming from. I'm happy to also give you like a little bit more on my background as well, but I'm happy to kind of listen and maybe comment as well from that. It's been a while since I've been in Richmond, so I miss it right now because it's a little colder up here.
Cool. Well, welcome to our other Richard. Thanks for joining us today. I'm Garret Westlake. I'm the executive director of Da Vinci. We've been kicking off this info session with a panel, and we've got Tyson and Julian and Naz who were sharing some of their experiences prior to coming into the program. So you've got two students graduating, one that's an alum. And who knew that we would have two Richards as the first two participants in the program today. But Richard Z, if you wanted to ask any questions of our current students or alum, you're welcome to ask away, or I can keep interviewing them for the good of the audience today.
Sorry, thanks for the opportunity. I think you can continue with the interview, and then if I have some questions, I'll just go to the next.
Great. Well, feel free to pipe up or drop them in the chat. I think one of the things that I really appreciate, about the MPI program is it's not just about the classes. Certainly the courses and the curriculum matter, but I think culture really matters as well. So I was wondering, we can go same order, you all can mix it up. But if you wouldn't mind sharing just from the student perspective about the culture of the program and, how that influenced the courses and the curriculum and how that all sort of came together. I can call on people if you need me to. You know me, I find the same order boring. So I would mix it up, but if you all want to go in order, because that makes it easier about who's supposed to talk, we can do that too.
I can start.
Okay, go ahead.
Start now? Okay. I think one of the coolest things for me is how different in age and different in experiences we all are, at least in our cohort. I came straight out of undergrad, but there were students in our cohort that have been in different industries for years and years and years. So just getting their perspective on things and realizing that I have a lot more to learn was just it was a cool setting, each class, to see that. And then obviously having people come from different majors in college, I think that helped so much on projects like our 590 project. I did not have a design background. I did not have a medical background. So getting to kind of just see their side of things and learn a little bit from them was super cool for me.
I'll go next. For me, it was just like how I really loved how supportive each of us were towards each other, and also like the faculty and everybody in the Vinci Center, and that was really important for me, and it just like made everything easier and more fun. And just like in general, I would say the community that we had in Da Vinci, that just made everything fun. And yeah, I really enjoyed being around everyone, and I miss it.
We miss you too, Naz. I will also add that I have never been around a more willing group to just dive into the unknown in a good way. There was a lot of the projects and a lot of the work that we were doing, it didn't have a clear answer. So it's that idea of, okay, we're trying to figure out that fuzzy front end of a problem. We're trying to understand how to navigate ambiguity. And a lot of the work isn't on your own. So a lot of it is like in the real world, right? It's cross-functional teams. It's really working with, as Julian mentioned, folks with 40 years of running a bike shop, and I'm over here with a higher education background, and all of a sudden we're working with an anthropologist straight out of undergrad. Hey, let's look at a really sticky, wicked problem. And you all of a sudden have all of these different areas coming together. But the common thread is everyone was just so curious and so about the problem space, which is very unique. But the culture of Da Vinci in general is also just, hey, let's try and build something. If it breaks, awesome. What did we learn? Like, it's not that idea of failure being a terrible, bad word. It was like, oh, this is so interesting. Let's learn a little bit more. Like, what can we change this time? That was a prototype. What can we make? How can we make it better? How can we iterate? So it's not just about reading, some of the things you'd read in books, but actually living that out. And I think that culture speaks for itself. And I'm sure we'll talk about the Shift Retail Lab, but the embodiment of a space that is able to do that, it was just really cool as a student. And for Naz and Julian in our cohort, we got to really be in the sweet spot of seeing a space open and really get to see, oh, wow, this really changes. This is adapting to the end user's needs. We're really about it. We're not just talking about it, right? And I'm sure Julian will talk a little bit more about what that Shift Retail Lab experience has been like for him. But overall, that culture of just really being about, what we're actually teaching and what we're actually preaching, actually doing it and creating that safe space for students to experience that failure. It's been unbelievable.
I
Awesome.
just wanted to add something else. And that's what I experienced, that we have like a group assignments, and that's like a totally different experience. And then we have like our individual projects. And I really love that. And that was like a really good practice. I just wanted to add that.
Nice. So, and it might be hard to just pick one, but if you all wanted to reflect on, like, was there sort of an aha moment in the program for you? Was there a point in time where things just kind of clicked, or a particular experience, opportunity that you took advantage of, where you felt like you really learned something, the light bulb went on, it defined something for you that had previously been fuzzy, as Tyson's been saying? what was that one sort of aha experience or your favorite part or experience in the program? I have favorite experiences with each one of you. So I'm going to start sharing my favorite experiences with each one of you if you need some inspiration.
I think they're all just so polite that they're waiting for each other to speak.
They are very polite.
I mean, for me, it's hard to pick just one because I think the fall semester was so jam-packed with all of our classes and shift opening and events that we were just, me, Tyson, Nas were taking advantage of almost every opportunity that came our way. So that was a busy semester, but I think for me, the springtime when we started our capstone project and I really got to pursue my entrepreneurial venture, I think that was kind of a light bulb moment, identifying what I really needed to start the business, and that led to the Kickstarter. But I would say the fall semester, just taking classes like the business class, 590 was awesome. And those kind of prepared at least me for the capstone project and being a little bit more autonomous and having to push myself, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
I'll jump in as well. Hang with me here because this might sound strange, and I'm not sure if any of the faculty know this story, but I see Allison's already bracing herself. But the aha moment, there were so many to choose from, but for me was actually when for one of our engineering projects, very early on, we had to take an existing product and turn it and transform it into something else. So popsicle sticks, right? We took popsicle sticks and had to turn them into a phone case stand holder, something that could hold an iPhone for a significant amount of time. We had all the specifications, but the moment for me was when, again, there wasn't here's the exact right answer, here's exactly what it's going to look like. We had to experiment, we had to try. And so in my apartment, we were like boiling a bunch of popsicle sticks because we said, hey, what if we were able to make a curved angle? And what if we were able to actually hold it with this straight popsicle stick? And we had broken so many and we were trying to experiment. But it was the moment where I realized this is graduate school. Like for me, where I'm taking a bunch of popsicle sticks and putting them in a pot in my kitchen and boiling them. And my classmates and I were talking in our apartment about what to do next and how to set them. So using some of the tools at our own house. And then at the Vinci Center, we made 4 different prototypes. And it was this moment where, I'll tell you, I wish I had it with me right now, but the stand is still going strong. It's next to my bed and it's a point of pride, but it's also a point of saying, that is this experience in a nutshell, where it's time to boil the popsicle sticks. You got to try it. You got to figure out what works and what doesn't. And that sense of experimentation where I wasn't going to be able to learn that in a book, right? Like I wasn't going to be able to just go down to the VCU library, open a book and figure out what our end user wanted. We had to try and failed a few different prototypes. I will say, definitely needed to communicate that to my wife before she walked in. She was like, oh, what are you cooking for dinner? I'm like, popsicle sticks, right? Like that was definitely a miss there, but thinking about the learning. The other aspect and a much broader, connection there is that was in the fall when we were really getting going with that experimentation mindset. When we came into the spring, as Julian was mentioning with our own projects, we were able to have and host a product showcase where strangers, people that we did not know, were able to enter the Shift Retail Lab and give us really amazing feedback on our projects. And that same sense of, okay, it's time to boil these popsicle sticks because we don't know what's going to happen. It was that same mindset that had trained us and prepared us for how to ask really good questions. And the findings that came out of that experience in that product showcase were people who, I mean this in the best way, people who did not love me needed to give me great feedback, right? Like, nobody is more honest than the general public, and they gave great feedback. But we had been through this program, we understood the questions to ask, and that started, believe it or not, with me boiling popsicle sticks in September for me to get the understanding in February that, hey, we can test, we can experiment. This doesn't need to stay the same idea just because I like it. So that sort of mentality of going from one point in September, getting that skill building, getting that mindset, and then by the time spring semester rolls around, you're working in your own project that you are really passionate about, but you still have those skills to move the needle a little bit forward.
Awesome.
Sorry, I was cutting off. I have internet issues here in Costa Rica today. I don't know why. But I think we were sharing our favorite parts of the program. And for me, it was just, I was very shy with my ideas and wasn't really confident in myself. And the fact that like everybody in the faculty is very encouraging and they do everything in their power for your idea and like all of that, and they're just like super supportive. And for me, that was like my favorite part. And I actually got to see the results with my projects and everything. So I would say that was like my favorite part.
Awesome. Well, before I turn it over to MC and Allison, any final pieces of wisdom, advice, things that you think what would you have told yourself? I mean, I remember all of you being on these calls and being prospective students trying to do your homework and figure out whether this was a good fit for you. What made the difference for you in that moment, or what do you want to share? What wisdom can you pay it forward?
I would say this is a very great program in the sense of it's not narrow. So you can do literally everything after it. And that makes a lot of difference, because with architecture, there was just like only one path for me. And with MPI, I can be like in any industry that I want. And I can become a consultant, I can go into tech, I can go into healthcare, and I can be, from a UX designer to a project manager to an entrepreneur and so much more. And for me, that was like very important because I didn't want to tie my hands and just like have one option. So if you're someone like me who wants to have a lot of options, and like in this day and age, I kind of feel like everybody has to have that. It's gonna be fun and you're gonna like it. And we don't have exams, and I love that because I don't like reading that much. It's like a lot of work, not saying there's not work, a lot of work, but it's fun. At least for me, it was fun because I just had to like use my brain and my hands and just like my skills, and not just like sticking into like a textbook or something.
I would add to that, if I'm putting myself in the shoes of when I was first starting and first looking into this program, I would say, this is a unique space and it's a unique culture, as we've alluded to. But the part that makes it unique is the students' ability, along with the support of the Da Vinci Center, to really try something, to get out there, to test something in the real world. So not just in this controlled, in this staying in that theory, but really get comfortable with getting uncomfortable on the fuzzy front end of a problem and get comfortable talking to strangers. So I would say that would be the biggest piece of advice that I would have coming into it if I could do it again, is you will learn so much more through those random opportunities to be out there asking for that rapid feedback instead of going the more traditional approach, as a lot of us have been taught in school, is, hey, read about this, write a big research report that maybe a few people will read if you're lucky. It's like, no, think about this differently, approach this problem differently. And I would give myself that advice of, hey, go into this with that learning mindset, with that growth mindset, but also know that you can lean on your own experiences.
I would just say, if you're considering the program or if you are committed to going into the program, just take advantage of every opportunity you can. When I came into the program, I know me and Tyson are doing 18 months, Nas did 12. Those all seem like a very long time, but they go by so fast and you do so much within that time frame. So if you are considering the program and you end up going through with it, I would say even if you're doubting a situation you're going into, or if you're uncomfortable, just do it. You never know what the outcome might be, and you never know what the future holds. So take advantage of as much as you can, and promise you'll be better off in the end.
Yeah, and I wanted to add that in Da Vinci, we work on real world projects, and that was something that I really wanted to have before I actually get like a full-time job, because it's scary to just like get out there and not have any experience with even just like talking to people, talking to a VP, talking to a manager, talking to like anyone. So I think it's really like, it's just like a really good that we have that in MPI, and that's really helpful. Yeah.
Well, thank you all so much. It's super fun for me to get to see you all. Some of you I still get to see more than others, but I miss all of you. So thank you for joining us here today and sharing a little bit about your experiences in the program. We really think that that's, what matters most. So we'll leave you all. You're happy to sign off. You've heard the spiel. You know what's coming next. You know all the details, or at least I hope you do. But I'm going to turn it over to Allison and Mary Chris, unless there are any other. Thanks, Tyson, for sharing your contact. Happy to take any questions for me or our panelists before I turn it over to Mary Chris and Allison. All right. Well, again, thanks everyone for joining. Thanks everyone who's going to watch this later asynchronously. And without further ado, Mary Chris, back to you.
All right, great. Thank you all so much. And just echoing, it's just wonderful to see you all here and to hear you reflect. I'm going to take a minute and pull up a slideshow here, and Allison and I will walk the rest of you through a lot of the things you've already heard about, which is what I love about doing these first. So we're going to explain what 590 is and talk about the Shift Retail Lab and just talk about how you apply and kind of the nuts and bolts. So huge thank you to Julian, Naz, and Tyson. Please get on with your days, and you do not need to sit through this part again. So,
Thank you all.
You guys.
It was really,
nice
really
to see
good
you.
to see you.
yes.
Bye.
Bye.
All right.
Such a good group.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
All right, so we should be sharing now. All right. Garrett, since we still have you, do you want to talk a little bit about our mission and about Shift Retail Lab before we dive into the academics?
Perfect. I'll do these and then I'll leave it to you all. So
All right.
you might notice something unique about the Da Vinci Center, and that is that you won't see a traditional mission vision statement. What you're going to see is a charter and a set of design aspirations. And we're really proud of the work that this team has done over the last several years to come away with this model, which is unique in higher education. So we are an academic center. We offer degree programs like the MPI, but we also offer a set of experiences like our Shift Retail Lab and our Pre-Accelerator program that Julian talked about. And the way we come up with our academic and experiential opportunities is by running experiments. So we practice innovation as much as we teach it. And so what you see in the model is that, we try new things. We experiment with academic programs. We experiment with new experiences. And sometimes we wind up in this really great sweet spot of academic experiences that started off as experimental, right? So that is really where we find ourselves at home. So these design aspirations also represent something about us. Not only do they speak to our values as educators, as innovators, but they imply that we are always going to be aspiring to these things. So we are never done being student focused. We are never content embracing failure. We are always striving to do more of these things. And I think that motion that's implied by a design aspiration is something that really resonates with our Da Vinci community. And you heard mention of it, Tyson talked about it, Julian talked about it. So in January of this year, so it's not even a year old, we opened our doors for our Shift Retail Lab. This started with a concept as a student storefront where students would have the ability to sell products and services to the public. And it really evolved through an iterative design process that we teach into a retail lab. Now, what's the difference, you might ask? The retail lab is all about testing and customer feedback and engagement and user experience testing. And so rather than just being a platform for students or alumni to sell products and services to the public, it became a real classroom of the future. So the Shift Retail Lab is used in our master's program as a place for students to showcase their work, to engage and do takeovers. So Naz didn't share it, but one of the things she did was she actually ran an entire cultural festival in Shift. It's been an after-hours music venue. It's been home to product launches. Julian did a lot of taste testing with his jerky product in Shift. And we're not just tooting our own horn. 6 months after we opened, we won an award from Fast Company as a world-changing idea in 2022 in the category of urban design. And I think, I was really proud of the fact that we won for urban design, not education, because we did design this space. We're the first university in the country to have something like this. It was designed in partnership with our community, really meant to highlight what it means to be a research urban serving university embedded in a downtown environment. And so if you haven't been on the website to check it out, I encourage you to do that. If you're able to come by and see it, please do. We have Feedback Fridays where you're able to come in and give feedback to a whole host of different ventures. So a really unique aspect of the program and something that we use as a classroom of the future for a program of the future, which is the MPI. Anything I missed, MC, Allison, anything I should have shared but didn't about those?
No.
I think you're good. It's nothing that we can't share as well.
Cool. All right.
Thank you.
I'm going to leave you all, but enjoy the rest of this info session.
Right.
Okay, so hi, I'm Allison Schumacher. I'm Director of Academic Alchemy for the VCU Vinci Center. And so I work with our academic programs, our external sponsors to bring in those real world projects that our students were talking about. But to give you a brief of just kind of what Da Vinci is and what we do as a whole from the academic perspective, we have both undergraduate and graduate programs. The Master of Product Innovation is the only true major that we have. Otherwise, we do baccalaureate certificates that are kind of like minors. They're a little more focused in their credit hours, but we do that in product innovation and venture creation. And the biggest difference between the two is that in product innovation, we are pulling in those problems that students are solving from the outside. And from venture creation, we're helping students launch their own businesses and build their own products and services. So it's not a full major, but these are things, so how we're serving the larger university as a whole and helping students who maybe have a focus in business or arts or engineering really be able to explore this other side of themselves and get some experience working with people who think very differently than they do and come from different backgrounds. We also teach courses in human-centered design. That is something that will become a certificate in the future. But right now, just giving any student at the university who wants to engage in this process of really being user-centric and using empathy to solve for problems. Like Naz said, it is a very universal thing. If you can, work with design thinking or human-centered design, generally you can do just about anything because it truly is about problem solving. But mostly trying to make sure that solutions our students are coming up with are directly tied to needs, human needs. So if we take all those concepts of product innovation and the entrepreneurship piece and human-centered design and combine them and kind of move them up a bit in terms of dialing up the volume on, I guess, challenge, to a graduate level, that's how we end up with our Master of Product Innovation, which we will end up exploring a lot more throughout this info session. The last one there being a graduate certificate in healthcare innovation, which is a 12 credit certificate that anyone with a bachelor's degree can complete. I'm happy to answer questions about those too, but it's a partnership between the Vinci Center and our Master of Product Innovation program and the VCU School of Nursing. So looking more specifically at these graduate programs, the Master of Product Innovation, I think it was mentioned, it generally is 13 to 18 months. So we'll explore some different course schedules and what that looks like. If you start in the summer and end in the summer, that's 13 months. Generally, if you start in the fall, you end in December. So the following December, so it gives you about 18 months. But this current cohort that we have is the largest cohort we've ever had come through the MPI, and nearly half of them are going through part-time. So we'll look at a part-time option. Well, it can be done in 2 years. It really is designed to be done in 13 to 18 months, but we've had a lot of really successful students go through part-time, meet 2 cohorts. So the network is even broader by the end of it. But yeah, we'll explore that a little bit. So everything we do is cross-disciplinary. The students take courses in arts and business, and well, it's really design, business, and technology or engineering. You do advanced product innovation. So both Julian and Naz were working on medical products during their time in the 590 course that I teach, which is the project course in the fall. And they never thought that they would be engaging in anything in medical, and now have such a deeper understanding of how to, distill down that fuzzy front end into something that is much more clear and understand how to solve for those problems. And then getting more into the capstone and those kinds of things, we do explore entrepreneurship as the students have talked about. I already mentioned the graduate certificate in healthcare innovation being 12 credit hours. This is through partnership with nursing leadership. It is also cross-disciplinary, and if you take both, if you decide to apply and enroll in both the graduate, the MPI and the graduate certificate in healthcare innovation, there is no additional tuition cost. You can use the 6 credits of those nursing classes to fit nicely into the 6 elective credits for the Master of Product Innovation. Most of our students who do both end up taking more than just those 2 electives, just because you can. We have capped tuition. So after 9 credits, you don't pay any additional tuition beyond that. You may have additional fees and those kinds of things, but in terms of tuition, there's no additional tuition beyond 9 credits. Okay, so this is the full-time summer start 13-month plan of action. Now, mind you, you can start the summer and end in December if you want to take the second summer off. There's all kinds of ways to do this program. We're quite flexible. But just to go through these quickly so you have an idea of what these numbers mean and what these courses are. So Inno600 is our study abroad program. It's called Integrative Design Studio, but it's really the European Innovation Academy. And for the next few years, we will be going to Portugal. Previously, we've been in Italy. This past year, we were able to go to Portugal after skipping a couple of years due to COVID. But this is a 3-week opportunity for a student to join a team. They're teams of 5. There's 65 different nationalities, anywhere between 400 to 700 students that all come to Porto, Portugal for this one cause. And that is to form teams around startup ideas and going from idea to pitching to investors in just 3 weeks' time. So you receive an incredible international network of people, and talk about just being in the state of problem solving for such a long period of time. You're in a different country. You may not speak the language. Just getting like food and groceries can be a bit of a challenge. And then working with people who are not only think differently than you and come from different backgrounds, but also come from very different cultures. You are mentored by people from Amazon and Google and Twitter. And then afterwards, you gain access to the more than 50,000 people who have gone through this program. So if later on you're starting a business, you're like, man, I really need a full stack developer. I need somebody who can do it all, front end and back end. I'm gonna hit up the EIA network, and you can just put out messages and see that there are people who have gone through a similar challenge that have skill sets that you could potentially bring onto your team. But amazing access. 610 is Innovation, Design Thinking, and Change Management. This is the course that students can take alternatively to 600. So let's say you work full time and you can't go abroad for 3 weeks and just not work. We understand that's something that happens. So during COVID, we instituted another class to be able to meet that criteria. And this course provides 3 different international certifications in design thinking and change management. And it's taught by someone who does this in real life. He teaches design thinking and innovation for lots of different groups. He used to do it with Capital One, does it more now for government agencies. And, on that point, all of our teachers do this stuff in real life. So we have international business consultants that are teaching the business class. We have the director of innovation and a senior engineer at Canon Cameras, who are co-teaching our engineering and technology course. So this is it's a very much a applied program, and it's even more so because of who is teaching our classes and providing those real world examples of things they've experienced. Okay, so looking at fall, the students kind of talked about this as the crazy semester, and it truly is. It is the gauntlet semester. If you can make it through the fall semester, the rest of the program should seem relatively calmer, I will say. It's different for everyone, but definitely calmer because you're building all of your skill sets through that summer and fall semester. I missed the summer electives there. We teach courses in let's see, like IP for startups, so intellectual property for startups. We have a partner from Nixon Peabody. He's probably one of the most entertaining teachers and caring people that I've met on Lou, who teaches in that course. We do user-based research, introductory course on UX UI. There's all kinds of one-credit courses that most of the time are just a week or 2 weeks long. There might be 4 hours a night, but they're only a week or 2 weeks long. You can get Scrum certified in there too, but we offer a lot of one credit so students can kind of choose their own adventure and create the combination of skill sets that they're really looking to learn about in that summer semester. So in the fall, moving into that, building more skill sets. So this is where we slow down and really focus on that problem solving through many different lenses. 501 is the arts and design course, 502 is the business course, 503 is the engineering and technology course, and 590 is that project course that I teach. So if you come from an engineering background, you don't necessarily have to take 503. That can open up. If you come from a business background, you don't have to take 502 and so on. But we do encourage students to take all of these 12 credits because we are teaching through a lens of innovation. And we are teaching through a lens of doing, which is not necessarily what everyone did in their undergrad. And so, talk to Mary Chris, talk to me. We can figure out whether or not these classes are going to be a good fit, or whether, one of them might be a repeat for skills that you already have. But, we'll be honest with you. We're not trying to make you pay tuition that, it doesn't matter. You're taking 9 credits in the fall anyway, in this scenario. So whether you take that third class is, it's no additional tuition cost. But that 590 course, there are a lot of examples that I can give on that. And I think I might in a little while. I want to get us through this explanation at least first. So working in all those classes, you're around everyone else who probably doesn't come from a similar background as you, or you probably have additional skills that maybe they don't have. And that fall semester is where we really learn each other and really figure out what those skills are. So that the time you're going into the spring semester, you can decide whether or not you want to bring your own idea in and potentially bring on other MPIs onto your team, or whether you want to work solo. They're very different experiences. And, if you're working on a team, we may raise the bar a little bit in terms of the expectations of where we go. But 651 is the first half of that capstone. It's where we start that entrepreneurship mindset. You can bring in your own product idea. You can partner with someone else. You can borrow an idea from or take a piece of technology from our tech transfer office and try to work it towards commercialization. You can potentially work with a startup to create a parallel idea to something they're working on, and then they get first right of refusal for something for whatever you develop. There's lots of different paths. We don't have the expectation that everyone comes into the program with an idea, but we do start mentoring you in August so that by the time December hits and you're proposing that project, that you've met with several mentors, we've helped you figure out, what it is that you're interested in and doing in the future, and how we might be able to help you get there, and which best path might work well. There's also electives that you can take either within the Da Vinci Center. Mary Chris here teaches a course called Design Your Life. So applying design thinking principles to your own life and mapping out future semesters, future years, the next 5 years. We will have other electives too coming. This spring is pretty exciting. We'll have a couple of experimental ones. One coming from that director of innovation at Dominion Energy, really talking about energy and how damaging various different types of making energy can be, and how beneficial other types of energy can be, and how does that work? What is energy, and how does it actually feed into our world, and what's happening next? Where is the innovation that's going to be coming in the energy industry? And then in the summer, you have the second half of the capstone. This is meant to launch you out into the world in the closest direction to where you want to be. So you may not completely know where you want to be, but we're going to help you find that next step and help push you in that direction. So this course has 3 different options for you to finish it. The first one is continuing your 651 project. So if you have gained enough traction and this looks like a viable business, that you can continue that 651 project into the summer, into that fall semester. The second option is to complete an internship or a job at that point. Welcome, Lindsay. We see a new person here. We're just going through the curriculum right now. So, you know, you can do an internship similar to what Tyson did. He worked for Dominion Energy as an internship. He ended up being hired on full time to their front end innovation team. Nas, same thing with CoStar. We want you to win that internship if you want to win that internship. And then the third option is one that no one chooses because it is a traditional master's thesis and this is an applied program. So we've had a couple students think about it in that they wanted to maybe get a PhD in a degree, potentially teach later on. And so, you know, they complete like for that spring elective, they may do a independent study that allows them to write their own syllabus, and they might do a research topic that helps them with their writing to prepare for PhDs. But I think the last one we had there was Isaiah Harvin, and now he is running, oh my gosh, it was HBO Max. He was running product for HBO Max, and now it's Disney. Is it Disney Plus? Yeah, so the Disney Plus of families, he's running product for them down in LA right now. So he's an all-star. He was also one of our students who was working full-time in the program and took 2 years to complete the program. But yeah, there's lots of opportunities here. That 590 course, the other courses do offer real life portfolio building, knowledge building experiences. And Mary Chris, since we're running a little short on time, let's go ahead. If we have time at the end, I'll share some stories from 590.
All right, sounds great. So we want to just also show kind of different ways to finish the program here. And so my name is Mary Chris Escobar. I think I've interacted with some of you on email, but I am the Associate Director of Student Success, and I work with both our undergraduates and our graduates pretty much all the way from like this point, like I'm exploring programs all the way through to graduation. And so a piece of that is advising while you're in the program, but also support and connection to campus resources. And as Allison mentioned, things like how we use design thinking to think about our own lives. It's a real interest of mine. So anyway, this just shows you if you were to start with us in the fall. I will mention that the application that is out and available right now is only for our summer start for the program. We have a December 15th early deadline for summer. And for that deadline, that deadline is for summer. The fall application will open right after that on December 16th. But if you just know right now that summer is not going to be a time that you're able to start a master's program, this is what a fall start would look like. It just switches up those 500 level classes, and you do end up kind of taking that EIA experience or the alternate course in the summer between the 651, which can be considered the first part of your capstone, and the 652. So this is really just to note, if you wait and start with us in the fall, typically that puts you on that 18-month schedule naturally. So you're going to go fall to fall, as opposed to having an option to go summer to summer. And then I do really quickly just want to show you, this is a viable option part-time. As Allison mentioned, there is flexibility, especially with electives. The big not flexible thing is that those 500 level, the 501, 502, 503, 590 are only offered in the fall and have to be complete for you to go on to the first part of the capstone, the NO 651. So there's flexibility with where we place these electives and how many credits you take each semester. But this is what it would look like for a student to start with us in the fall and go part-time. One thing I like to point out here, and part-time is typically considered 2 classes or 6 credits. I've had some interest. Sometimes people ask if they can do like 1 class a semester. We have mapped that out, but it would just take a very long time because of those 500 level classes. One thing that I love about our program, because it is an accelerated program, it is a 13 to 18 month full-time program. What that means is if you take it part-time, it's only a 2-year program. And so many traditional master's programs are 2-year programs. And so if you need to take them part-time, you're looking at 4.5, if you're me, 5 years to getting a master's. And so, you know, just a kind of positive in the category of being an accelerated program already. If you need to go part-time, it's still going to be an accelerated pace to other master's programs. And then just some things here, and Allison, feel free to chime in on these as well. This is not a completely comprehensive list, but just some really great things that you get out of being a student in the Master of Product Innovation program. You heard all of the students reference the Shift Retail Lab. That is a resource that is available to our master's students, as Garrett mentioned, to put on a cultural festival, use it as a music venue, use it for taste testing. We also have graduate assistantships that involve working in Shift. And so Julian, this did not come up in that conversation, but he is essentially working as a manager in that space. And we have some student workers at the undergrad level that he manages. And so he's getting managerial experience in that space, which can be really valuable to him down the road with his own company. So Shift Retail Lab, lots of opportunities there. You do get, when you get to those capstone courses, you get $1,000 in funding. We understand that that is, not a huge number, but it does help with prototyping. I know Julian was able to use that to contract with a graphic designer to get some great logos for his packaging. So things like that, it can help out with those capstone courses. Allison has mentioned mentoring. From day one, when you start with us, you have at least monthly meeting with a mentor. We require monthly meetings with a mentor. You can meet with that mentor more often. You can meet with the whole group of mentors at any point that you would like to. But the point of that is so that you can start thinking very early about those capstone experiences and what you might want to do, and making some connections that might help with internships or help you make the right connections for launching a business. All VCU students have free Adobe Creative Cloud access. We do have a makerspace area that has lots and lots of different things: 3D printers, laser cutter, Cricut machine, sewing machine, lots of wood shop tools. And those things exist in other spaces on campus as well, but this is just for Da Vinci students. And so it's a space for Da Vinci grads and undergrads. You have 24/7 access to swipe in. You can absolutely use the makerspace. We also have students who just use it as space to meet with their teams or space together. So it's a nice kind of private to Da Vinci space on campus, which can be nice on a big urban college campus. And then also just here, we do have an agreement with College of Engineering, and that you're allowed to use their maker spaces there. And they also offer some really great training that we have supported students to take in the past. Anything to add there, Allison?
I don't think so. Great job.
Okay. So quick note, as I mentioned, the application that is out now is our summer application. So if you know that like fall is going to be the right time for you, mark December 16th on your calendar. That is when the fall application will open. But our summer application is up. You can see the information here, but if you go to our programs page at the Da Vinci Center website, choose graduate, and then choose the MPI information, that's ultimately going to direct you out to a website on VCU's graduate school homepage. So I just wanted to show you what that looks like. You'll click apply now for spring, fall, or summer and be able to set up an account. You can go in and out of that account and work on your application. I will also mention, always like to say in these sessions, when you get that application complete, there is an application fee that goes along with that. If for any reason that is something that feels like a barrier to you submitting your application, you can reach out. Our email addresses are on the last slide here. There's also a general VCU email address, and we can send you a code to waive that fee. Also, if you have an interest in what Allison talked about earlier with the healthcare certificate as well as the MPI, and you just want to go ahead and apply for both of those, whether or not that feels like a barrier or not, please reach out to us. Please do not pay 2 application fees. Let us at least waive one of those for you so that you're not having to pay that $75 fee twice to apply 2 times. So this is what you need. If you want to hit that early application deadline by December 15th, you're going to write a statement of intent. There are some questions to help guide and prompt you for that on the application form. But really what we're going for there is getting to know you better. Who you are, what your interest in this program is, what you have some ideas that you might want to do with it after. You don't have to have past experience in product innovation. We just want to know about your interest in the program. You're going to include a resume. You are going to need to put down the names and email addresses of 3 references. They do not have to write a letter and send it to you that you include with your application packet. You just need to let them know that once you submit, they're going to get an email asking them to answer a few questions and upload a letter. You need to enter your transcript request into the system and request an official transcript from your university that you did undergrad at, unless you are a current VCU student. If you will be graduating from VCU, the graduate school is able to internally pull your transcripts here. And we don't need you to send those in or request official ones for that. We do encourage applicants to submit a portfolio. And so there's more information about it on the application site, but we do encourage you, if you have a website where you have featured some of your work, this can be if you are coming in from an arts background, but it's also if you have a professional portfolio of presentations that you've made or project work that you've done at a job. We would love to see that. This is not meant to be something that's big and stressful and scary. We just want to get to know you and see the kind of work that you've done. Standardized testing is not required. And so I do want to be really clear about that. You do not have to take GRE, GMAT, none of that. And the portfolio also is not required. So I think a lot of people think of like either standardized testing or a portfolio. So the portfolio is optional. We'd love to see it, but nobody needs to take the GRE, the GMAT, etc. If you happen to have those scores from something else you've applied to and want to send them, that's fine. But we started waiving them in COVID, and it has made, as we suspected, 0 difference in the students that we get in. We always really thought it was more about experiences you've had, what your undergraduate background is, what you bring from your own human lived experience to the program, than it is some scores on a test. So that is proving to be true. So yeah, that is it. I'm going to put this last slide up because I know we're getting close on time. We do have our general address here. Allison and I can share ours as well. I will promise you that Vinci Center at vcu.edu, if you reach out with questions or you need an application fee waiver, someone is checking that. They actually usually eventually get routed to me. So know that there is a human behind that account, and that is a good place to reach out if you forget ours, which Allison just put in the chat. But happy to answer any questions.
Drop them in the chat. Yeah, come on.
Yes, sorry. Yes. So I reached out to Mary with regards to me trying to apply for the spring. I think I was having a problem with trying to log in into my account. And then you suggested that I reach out to the graduate.
Okay.
Graduate school.
Okay.
Yes, and then which I did. I wanted to know averagely how long does it take to get a reply from them, in case you send an email.
Oh, okay. So you have checked in with the graduate school and not heard back from them?
Yes.
Okay. And did you check in kind of right around the time you and I were emailing about that?
I think I did that 2 days ago. We were having some
okay.
situations.
Okay, if you just did it 2 days ago, might give them a little bit more time. And I would say if you don't hear from them, let's see, today is Tuesday. Let's give them today. And if you don't hear from them by tomorrow, if you could email me back and I'll reach out and see if they can look at something, see if I can get in touch with somebody who might be able to help us troubleshoot that a little bit. And did you try on the application, I think I had a suggestion for maybe just starting a new application. That one didn't work.
That didn't work because that was what I did.
Okay, yeah, if you don't hear back from the graduate school, sorry.
The problem.
Okay, if you don't hear back from the graduate school, by the end of the day tomorrow, then follow up with me on Thursday and I'll see if I can find an answer to that.
Okay, that's
okay.
I think this session has been very informative.
Oh, good. I'm glad.
Thanks.
Any questions? Lindsay?
Yeah, I think I'll watch the recording because I unfortunately I didn't register, but I had it on my calendar, but then I just got the link pretty late, so.
That's okay, that's okay. We'll definitely have the recording out, and feel free to reach out to any of us. Garret Westlake is our executive director as well, and he is absolutely open to talking to students as we are. So yeah, please reach out, and anyone who's watching this recording later, please feel free to reach out. Yeah, we're happy to have conversations, make sure that this is a program that's right for you. You know, provide guidance, just kind of talk through stuff. We want to make sure that it's a good match for everybody.
Yeah, actually, it kind of made me think of just a question, is that I'm currently an engineering student, and so I was wondering if I could take Da Vinci courses. I'm not sure if they would count as electives, but if I could enroll even, or if people have done that before.
What year are you in engineering?
I'm a master's student, so I'm in my first year.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah,
we do have, so if you are on our website and you look under courses, we have a whole bunch of elective classes that are open to any student at the university. So for example, that INO 610, which is our design thinking and change management, anybody can take. And so that's a little bit of talking with your engineering advisor to see like if you've got some space for electives, but we 100% have electives that are open to any graduate student that we would, love to have you take. If you wanted to talk about doing like a dual master's, I'm happy to talk with you about that. I've talked with engineering before. You do have to take like a whole separate set of classes for us. Like, unfortunately, we don't have an official dual degree with them, so the classes don't overlap. Like we can't use ours as their electives, vice versa. But because ours is accelerated, and I think engineering also has some accelerated masters, it's usually like not that huge of a time commitment to do both. So I would be happy to talk more about that. But if you also are just interested in taking some electives with us and there's space for that in your engineering degree, we've got plenty. Allison just dropped a link in there.
Yeah, drop the link to the classes. If you scroll down to the graduate courses, anything 500 or 600 level is graduate. The 500 level courses can incorporate undergraduates too, so they're dual kind of enrollment courses. But we also do have a current student in the program. Mind you, he's only a few credits into the MPI program, but he is a dual degree between MPI and the computer science program. So yeah, he just happens to be doing both at the parallel to each other. So he kind of does a majority classes in engineering first and then MPI. And so he'll kind of switch back and forth, but I'm happy to ask if he's okay with talking to fellow students as well, or prospective students about this.
Yeah, that would be great. Because I'm definitely really interested in just product design and product innovation. And I didn't do a lot of it in my last job, but my favorite part of my last job was doing some of that stuff. So
yeah,
yeah.
Definitely.
I'm lucky enough to be able to help students build prototypes and those kinds of things in our maker spaces. And that's my favorite thing to do. They're like, I don't want to take too much of your time. I was like, no, please put 3 hours on my schedule so that I can have this vacation within work.
Yeah.
Yes.
Too much fun.
Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, definitely. And like Allison said, feel free to reach out if you watch the recording and have questions.
Okay, sounds good.
Yeah.
We're here. All right. Well, have a great day, everyone.
Yes.
Okay, thanks for coming.
Bye.